Hello, welcome to this video. Today I am going over another one of my US Go Congress 2019 games in Madison, Wisconsin. This was a third round game played during the Open tournament. My opponent, Li Zonghan, is a 4-dan. He's yet again another young Chinese kid from China. So that's all three of my opponents so far have been young and part of like this group of Chinese students who came over from China to compete. So obviously very strong players. Even though I won my game the previous day, I still had to play a 4-dan. So I'm assuming Li, at the time of the third round, had won both of his games so far. This game, I actually get to play black for the first time this Congress. So I was finally like, yes, I can play black. So yeah, let's go over it. Yeah, if you have not watched the other videos, I am currently 1-1. So I play this Knight's move, corner encloser. I just kind of like it. It's trendy nowadays to play this. It prevents a 3-3 invasion, so that's always nice. And it kind of forces white to play down here, either high or low. And the game my opponent played high. Now in the game they played down, starting the avalanche. What they're worried about is if they just connect, there's not a really good approach move if they wanted to approach all the way. Right? If they just play here, I'll just kick and then could attack. I think what they should do maybe is here, if black plays down, then playing an extension. If black answers, then white can play elsewhere. And this is a very fast opening for white. Black would be happy though as well because black is getting the bottom right and the upper right. But this is possible for sure. But in the game my opponent played here, probably because they're trying to build the bottom side. And I've never been a huge fan of the avalanche, and honestly I don't know a lot of the complicated variations. I know the very simple ones. So in the game I just attached, and if pros ever do this, they will do either the attach or just coming down. They themselves will rarely do the avalanches. If black plays down, white will get ahead this way, because black's shape is not strong enough to be able to do this, right? There's too many cuts. So white would be more solid in the corner or on the outside, but black would be able to reduce white's bottom easier. By connecting, like I did in the game, white does extend, but I get to jump because my shape is stronger. And they play the tiger's mouth. So white's outside is not as solid, but it does build the bottom more efficiently. Whereas my corner is smaller compared to the last one, but my shape is a lot better, and white doesn't get as many forcing moves. So of course, 3-3. So white plays this one. This variation is starting to not become good for white, because it leaves way too many weaknesses, and especially when black has a ladder, it's hard to capture this stone. And the Joseki move is for white to go here. If black connects and white fixes, then black could do something like this and put a lot of pressure on white. So this would be very uncomfortable for white. Even though white could probably escape, because black has the ladder, white needs to come back. But then this move here is Sente, right? And even if black just connects, dropping down or playing this one is Mii for black. So this would be bad for white. In the game though, my opponent does this, which I had never seen before. But I knew it wasn't quote-unquote Joseki, but I did not know how to directly punish it, so I just played a simple variation and connected, because white's shape is a lot worse than in the previous sequence. Plus, I don't like this move for white. I'd rather see it there. Sure, black can cut here later, but black's already alive in the corner, and the outside is worth much more. So this move is probably a little slow, because black can play this attachment later and really wreck white's shape. So connect and jump. So this seemed okay for me. I get Sente again. This move is, this cutting stone, while I won't activate it immediately, is pretty annoying for white to deal with, especially because there's a potential peep here, or this attachment, as well as black just directly pulling it out. So in the game I approach the upper left, it's the last unfinished corner, and my opponent pincered. I think I should consider attaching. Even though something like this will happen, me extending is going to be forcing, it's going to force white to protect somehow, right? Maybe something like this. And there's still Aji, but then I can still, I'm settled on the left side for now. So this feels decent. Maybe forcing white to protect this is not so good, and this is still invadable. But this is definitely playable, at least, for black. Because in the game, I came up, and when he pincered, I just came up. I have a tendency to leave this, but because it's considered good to lean, I should just lean first. And then play down. Or play this move. So I should really get in the habit of just at least playing the lean. Because, oops, white gets this move later, and there's a lot less Aji in that corner. I'm okay with building my right side, even though white's right side is probably can be bigger, because white's side has weakness here, weakness here. I can still pull this stone out, so I wasn't thinking white would actually get all this. And then I just do the knight's move. Again, this is the area where both moyars are meeting. So, like, if I did something and white went here, you can see how big of a difference that is, right? How much it reduces blacks and builds whites. Whereas this builds blacks but reduces whites. So my opponent takes there. Play here. I didn't really know what to play here. I know this sort of like side extension is kind of out of fashion, or like not as valuable nowadays, but I really did not know where to play. Yeah, so I just chose this. Then my opponent invades super deep. Now I get a decent result out of this, but you'll see I could have gotten a much better result. So of course I take the corner. Again, because I'm so thick here, they're afraid of something like this. So they want to back off just a little bit. I think it's still questionable for white to try to jump in immediately. Yeah, maybe something like this. So this will give black a target to attack, hopefully. Yeah. So play here. White plays at the shape point. I protect the cut here by doing the diagonal. Puts the most pressure on the white group. White jumps and I cap. White cuts, and I play a very nice move, because if I do whatever, white is able to push through here, and you can see this is black can never hane and cut white off. But if I just protect, something like this, white will still be able to like attach here, or attach on this side, or because this is a two-space jump, there's lots of connection issues. So in the game, I played this one, which helps the connection of these two stones, while, notice now, when white tries to push, this stone is in a very good spot. So this move is very good, I think. Sadly, I believe my next move is not so good. So white jumps here, and I go there. Very bad move. I don't know why I don't just seal white in. White has an open skirt here and on this side. So even if white lives, it's going to be small. And this outside thickness is much more valuable. Like, for white to try to live, white's going to give up the corner as well. And this white is completely sealed in as well. Yeah, and if white like goes this way, I can go this way. If white comes this way, I can come this way. So it's very hard. It's uncomfortable for white at least. And again, this thickness has to be worth more than a few points I get here. Not saying this result in the game is bad for black, but it could have been much better. So I just jump. He hanes, I extend. Tiger's mouth. Pull back. Tiger's mouth again. And then they play here. So they're playing very territorially. They're saying, okay, I've gotten some of this out at least. Now I'm going to take my cash. So I continue to split. My issue with this move is, sure, I'm going to run white over here, but how am I going to make points out of this move? So I think now I should just jump in. Or even just take cash. This move's pretty huge. Because this is all solid, so this move felt like, oh, I'm putting a lot of pressure on white, but I don't think it's that good. Because white just connects up, and this is actually the spot that I showed earlier that white could play to solidify the bottom. So now I pull this out, and if I just do something normal, of course is the keyword, white's just going to solidify the bottom. So that's why I attached, because again, I don't really care about these two stones. What I'm looking at is this cut here. So if I can get some allies in this area, I could potentially attack this white group or this white group. So that was my plan. White descended, so I jumped. Clamp, and then attachment. Attachment's a pretty good move. I think so. So white comes up. If I had haned here, let's see what happens. If white just extends, white's just connected, right? And even though I get to come in here a little bit. Actually, this might not be that bad for black, is it? Maybe this is possible. Because when white extended, I came through here and then white pulled back. So I was able to come in and reduce, which is, it's an okay result, I think. Tiger's mouth, poke, and then jump. Yeah, there's a ton of aji of this peep and to cut. Plus, I don't think this, like, if, let's say white were to cut here, I don't think this move's that valuable, because, let's see, because black can play this one first, before Atariing. And if white tries to keep black disconnected, you can see this move's going to be Sente. And white cannot cut black very cleanly. It's because this move's Sente and it's threatening all sorts of cuts, and yeah. It's complicated though. Yeah. Too much of a hassle. Probably for both players, honestly. And black's not alive here. But white has to worry about this side first. Cap plays this move, which is how you cut a large knight's move, but I guess it's good, right? But white's still super weak, so oh, I jump first. Ooh. Okay. And then I cut. Yeah, this move seems super not important, right? Like, there's no way black can cut white off. If black goes there, white can just connect. If white goes here, black just connects, or white just comes on top. So white's really only fighting over a couple points by going here. So of course now I cut, extend down, turn, and then I tiger's mouth. And this group actually cannot be cut off, and I'll get into that later, even though it looks like white can hane. So I connect, because this group is not alive, so I'm trying to... Later white might not answer this, but since I know white's trying to attack this, white will answer it now. Empty triangle, I know, but I wanted to make this an eye right here. Bamboo joint, very solid shape, and then came back to live. And so white says, okay, I win now, so let me play this move. This move's very good, actually. It's very annoying for black to answer. As opposed to a move like this, which is like very clear where black's going to answer. It's this move, like where does black play here? Then white gets to push once more. If black just comes down, then white gets sente or can even jump up. So this move's very annoying. And I had a very good position, just like in all my previous two games. And I'm counting and I'm counting and I'm like, wow, is this really slipping away again? Right, because my last two games, while I did win the second one, both games I was doing fairly well in the opening, and then once fighting and stuff happened, it was pretty heartbreaking, but I ended up losing the first game. So I didn't want that to happen again. So white's not protecting their center group, so I'm asking, this move is saying I might be able to cut through here. So white just protects, and then I came down. White came down and I connected. So now this group actually has very few eyes. I'm curious, let's say white had done something like this and white went, or black went here. I wonder what the score would be here. It's hard to say. So hane. So it looks like white can cut, but if white cuts directly, black can play this peep, and then can capture this way. And you can see white cannot save this stone. So white double hanes, which he does in the game, I can still cut here, and then go here. If white goes here, then it just lets me connect. So in the game, white cut here, but you can see that this move threatens a peep here, so white connects. And then this move, it's threatening this Atari, so white saves this stone. You can see I'll be able to cut this off. So white just squeezes. It's probably the smart idea. And then plays here. So I think white agreed with me, or because I was counting this not as entirely white's points, but once black got down here, even though white got this move, white's suddenly his bottom is not that big and this group is floating. So white plays here. And in terms of like time management, my opponent was definitely using less time than me. They had like an hour left and I was maybe had like 20 minutes left or something like that. And this is when they started to use a lot of their time more. They probably still had like an hour and 10 minutes left, honestly. Very fast player. Forcing move, Atari, connect, cut. I feel like all these are forced, so it's hard to say where. Like, I go there. I probably could go there, couldn't I? As opposed to Atari. White goes there. Can I push through here? White can do this. And it looks like white would be alive. Yeah. So this would be no good. So yeah, maybe that's why I went here. Again, this game was over a month ago, so it's hard to remember exactly what I was thinking. Atari, cut, push, and then clamp. And at this point, I think white's alive already, which again was very frustrating. So I had to really keep my cool. Yeah, because white reduced by with this dragon, but also scooped out all these points, which is pretty big. So I just extend, come up. This move is Sente, because if I try to take out the eyes, this way's better. This move's Atari, and black can't save the stones. So I needed to add this move by going here. So they got Dahane, and this move lives. They have enough space to live. So I play poke, and then connect my groups. If I ignore this move is Sente, because white's follow-up is Sente in the corner. So maybe I do something, and then them connecting here would be Sente because this group's not alive. So that would be it. It's a big Sente move to go here. So white connects, and then I play this. So this was a huge missed opportunity. That's super frustrating that I missed this, because again, each of these games, my goal for the Go Congress was I'm going to slow down, use my time, but I was missing like obvious moves. So of course black can do this, right? Now what I was reading, and I remember this, what I was reading in the game was if I try to Atari, or when white goes here, if I go here, I can't cut here. And that's all I was reading. But duh, when white goes there, I can just come down and then Atari this. And this whole group here would be not alive. And white might be able to make an eye by going here, but white would lose the tail at least. Like if white just pokes like this, I could cut and then white would live. And this would be enough for black to win the game, for sure. So I could at least cut these off, which would be huge. But instead, I just do this, and white says, okay, I'll live. Now, and instead of just, let's see, even going here would be a good move, right? But nope, I played this, thinking, oh, I can connect, and white doesn't have two eyes, but white just pushes, and then I was reading, oh, if I block, white can Atari, and then crawl, and white's, is that what I was reading? Because I can do this one. Oh, if I do this one, so if I go here, white can go down like this. But if I go here, preventing white from connecting, you can see white has 4 liberties to my 4, so white could start taking out liberties. So yeah, that wouldn't work. So I had to even lose. So not only did I miss my opportunity here, I lost more points here. Yeah, so at this point, now that a lot of the boundaries are getting filled, I'm starting to count on I'm not happy with what I'm counting. So I just try something down here, try to get some forcing moves. I don't know, honestly. Maybe a little tilted. That's a big move. White can actually connect here, which is a very good move, actually. Right, because black can't take out this eye or this eye. I jump. Then I attach. So this is me saying, I'm behind, I need to do something. I counted I was maybe like 10 points behind. So I was behind even on the board, not counting Comey. Which again, when I had such a good position on the board is pretty frustrating, but alas. I attach. Now if white just does this, and I connect, and white goes here, white has enough to win. So this, even just doing this, wouldn't be enough to win. But white goes here, And I know this is my like only chance. So I push once, and then I hane. So this is what I would call a desperate go player. So this is going to be me trying to make Sabaki here. And white just Ataris, right? And then I cut, Atari, connect. So we have a semi-eye between these stones and these stones. White has 4 liberties, black has 4 liberties, but it's white's turn. And of course white makes an eye, right? Now it's going to be no eyes versus 1 eye. So I connect, and I hane, and white pushes. So if white just blocks, even though black can Atari, black's never going to get rid of this eye or make an eye. So black would lose this semi-eye. If black takes out the eye, white would be able to just connect. Black Atari's here. We can see black will never be able to take out this liberty here because of the shortage of liberties. But in the game, my opponent does this one, which it's still fine. So I wedge, my opponent drops down, and I cut. Now, my opponent Atari that way, but white should just go this way. Black might be able to pull this out, which is Sente. And then Atari. And you can see because of this stone here and this stone, black cannot connect. Right? There's no way for black to cut white off. So yeah, this wouldn't work for black either. If black peeps, white could just connect. So black might do this one, but even if white just goes here, protects all the cuts, black might be able to cut this off, but you'll see white will be able to squeeze. And then take a big spot, like here into this attachment, and black cannot cut the stone off. That or like this move. So this would still be a loss for black. My opponent in the game goes here, which now I'm like, oh, this is my chance. I wasn't reading everything out, but I knew there had to have been something. Now going through this review, I realized no, there wasn't really anything, but you know, being able to read everything out as opposed to being able to play everything out in an SGF reader, it's a big difference. So white Ataris, I capture, white makes an eye, I take out the second eye, and you can see now we have a semi-eye between here, this group and this group. So white goes here. So white goes here, and I just pull this back. Because anything is bigger than whatever's going on there. And I'm trying to, I think right here, this move right here, is when my opponent spent, I kid you not, so I said my opponent was a very fast player. So at this point they had maybe like 50 minutes, and I had maybe 20 minutes. They spent 30 minutes on this move. I got up to go to the bathroom maybe like 3 times. I was watching other games. At first, I didn't know if they were like frustrated, because honestly, they played like the sequence they played in the upper left. They played the one sequence that got this ko, right? So I don't know if they were like frustrated and they were gonna purposely lose on time. Like I had no idea. Yeah. So this is basically a flower ko for black, because this was white's area anyways. And black has a lot of ko threats. So at this point, all I had to do was count ko threats, and I knew that I was going to win this game at this point. Not the way I wanted to win the game, because I just wanted to win clean, be ahead the whole time, all that, but yeah, so white, it starts to ko. Hanes. I block. There's this cut here. Yeah, there's a cut here, so white could cut these off. I probably should have just done that, but I knew I had more ko threats than them, so Atari. And they take, right? So they would have to go here. And then they would have to find another ko threat. Keep in mind, even though this group has no eyes, because this group would die if white loses the ko, this group's actually alive. So white can't make any ko threats here. White really can't make any ko threats up here. So that's why in the game, white just ignores this. But I just capture, and at this point, black has enough to win. I even just give up these 3 stones. I don't think I need to, because white needs to go here next. How would this work? Yeah, if white cuts, I need to do this one. Yes. So if white goes here, I think is the best move for white. But I think black can even just do this, and be able to live this way. So I could have saved these 3 stones, but I actually counted that I was ahead. So instead of making the game more complicated and throw it into another life and death scenario, I knew, okay, just connect. White can cut, but I can go there. I can now poke at white because white doesn't have 2 eyes. And yeah, white does get this, but again, it does not really matter. So just doing endgame now. Black ends up winning this game by, wait for it, black wins by 8.5 points with Komi, like with white having Komi. So even again, so I'm 2-1 right now in the open, and even though I've won 2 of the games, every game so far there's been a moment where I'm just like, oh my gosh, what have I done? What happened in this game? The Go Congress is split up into like 2 halves. The first half you play 3 games, and then there's an off day, and then you finish off the week with 3 games. So after this, even though I was 2-1, I knew I wanted to finish strong, and I didn't want to have any more game altering blunders, right? I just wanted to take a lead and just soar into the end, soar into the win. But yeah, pretty exciting game though, for sure. Lots of questionable decisions though by both players. Yeah. So if you have any questions about the game, please leave them in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video.